There have been 11 seasons of Pro League, varying with all kinds of different orgs, metas, players, and countries. With so much time passed, the game has changed quite a bit. That means the best player is constantly changing. So, who are they? Well, let's go through the best pro player from each year based on statistics, and if you want to see the most underrated from each year, click the like button. The 2016-17 year was exciting for Pro League. Did you know that Pro League was played on both Xbox One and PC this year? That year, the best player statistically was Canadian. He ended the year with a rating of a 1.32 rating with an entry of a +7 and a very high 75% cost rating. Watching early Siege gameplay was like going back in time. It brought me back to the early years of gaming as a teenager, and I'm glad I got to experience this state of Siege, since as it evolved, I saw it at every step. What's crazy is not only did Siege evolve, but so did Canadian. His most played operator was Ash in Pulse that year, and it's funny looking back at him, seeing him entry, as he would transition into an IGL in the later years of his career. This year, he won Invitational with teammates like King George and NVK, and a cool little fact is Canadian would be the only Canadian at this event, and even won MVP of the event. Now, the 2017-18 year was interesting. With operators like Ella being introduced, we saw a new type of Siege being played. Ella was every roamer's wet dream at the time. She had a huge 50-round mag with little to no recoil and impact grenades. We take impact grenades for granted nowadays since defenders have secondary shotguns, but in these days it wasn't common at all for a roamer to have any rotate capability. It was one of the things that kind of balanced these operators. But Ella was basically a Swiss Army knife, and if you guys just got into Siege the last few years, trust me, you would have wished to have played Ella at this time. This year's best player statistically was Ness. He had a high rating of a 1.44 overall rating with a great 30+ KD ratio and a 71% cost rating. What's pretty funny is he probably has the lowest headshot percentage on this entire list with a 47%, but that's probably because Ella, which was his most played operator besides Ash, and Ella's rate of fire, you did not need to aim for the head. Ness played for Team Liquid, and at the time they actually competed in the Invitational, which they did not place high at all, but they would actually bounce back 3 months later and would win first in Season 7 finals against Penta, winning 2-1. Ness even won MVP. The following year, Virtue was the best rated player that year with a 1.33 rating and the highest kills per round being a 1.09 and placing second best KD being a +44, which is a staggering 1.75 KD ratio. Besides the statistics, his team at Invite wouldn't play the best, losing in the quarterfinals, but at least later in the year, they would place first at 6 Masters. This was all around the time Lion was released, by the way, and he was completely broken. Like wall hacks, you can't move, twerking on your screen, everything. 2019 to 2020 was the very first time we've seen 2 players tie. This list had some juggernauts competing, but the highest rating would be a tie between Foxay and Vertical. Foxay had the highest KD with a +35 and Vertical having a +31 and a tied +6 entry. Foxay had the lowest cost of 69% and Vertical with a 72%. Both would have outstanding performances that year, but neither of their teams would be able to win anything at the events. The following year though was the exact opposite. Paula went absolutely insane 2020 to 2021. He would have a breakout year being an efficiency machine with a cost high of 76% and a +95 KD, leading him to 8 1vx's. This year, Paulo would be active not only in Pro League, but also Face It, landing himself first multiple times this year. Now, if you guys don't know what Face It is, that's totally understandable because unless you play CSGO or you're a pro player in general, you just wouldn't use Face It. But Face It used to hold these cool tournaments where you would basically play and the best performing players, up to 3 people, I believe, you would get a cash prize. And I believe the first prize would be for $1,000 the first person and $750 the second and $500 the third, something like that. Don't quote me on it though. Team Liquid, being his team, would also be successful, coming second at Invite and even first during stage 1 of Copa Elite 6 and stage 2 and 3 of Brasileiro. They would also finish the season in the finals first, which is super impressive. Now, based off statistics, I had a lot of problems with determining who was the best player if they weren't at the top with a lot of games. So technically it is Joom, but in 2022 Grixer was the best ratings wise since he had a lot more games played and it seemed like he just played a lot more. So Grixer's rating would be a 1.27 with a huge plus 156 KD, a plus 31 entry, and a 71% cost rating. Just like Paula, Grixer would win 3 different Face It #1s in 2021, but team-wise, Sonics would play well, bouncing back from their slow stage 1 start, where they landed themselves in 8th place, to stage 2 and 3, getting 2nd place before ending off 5th in NAL. They would place 4th at the major that year. And of course, 2023 year is interesting. Looking at the stats, I wanted to highlight 2 players here. Number 1 being Logic and 2 being Shaiko. Reason why I'm not using the actual first 2 is because the amount of games played, once again, is much different than Shaiko and Logic's. So I think it's better to go off these stats. Logic ended the year with a 1.28 rating with a impressive plus 50 KD and a good 72% cost rating, while on the other hand, Shaiko had a whopping plus 159 KD and a plus 38 entry with a meme number of a 69% cost rating. Logic would play well, and his team would even play 2nd in stage 1 and stage 2 of the Oceania League, while Shaiko on the other hand would have a rough start with his team at Invite placing super low and losing to Astralis, which later in the year BDS would start to dominate and win even when it mattered at Gamers 8 2023. Now in 2024, we would have the same problem of low playtime equals higher stats. So I went through all the players and found Reapa's 96, which despite playing on probably the highest sense I've ever seen, ended this year with a 1.19 ratio, a 1.46 KD, and a 70% cost rating. That year, Reaps was tied for the 4th most 1vx's, being 16 clutches. This year at Invite, they got stomped out by SSG, losing 2-0 and going home. Later in the year would be 1st in stage 1 of the Asia League and even 1st in the APAC Cup qualifier. Now, when talking about 2025, it's way too early for anybody to determine who's the best this year, as it hasn't even finished and we still have lots of Siege to be played. So guys, if you made it to the very end of this video, let me know what your favorite snack is, and let me know how you guys are enjoying this style of video. I previously did a video on rookies throughout the years, so go check out the video that I did about stomping.